now plugged into the Social Plug Podcast.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Johnny Martinez, and you are plugged into the Social Plug Podcast, where we connect you to level up and where we discuss and highlight ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We are always powered by Social Plug Media. Today, we're in beautiful and historic downtown New Braunfels, Texas, at Collab Space Studios. Today's show is sponsored by Wingman for Life organization. So Wingman for Life helps prevent social isolation of service members and veterans, accelerating the professional success of our community and promoting membership and use of veteran service organizations globally. That means worldwide. So Wingman for Life is a crucial component of helping veterans and service members thrive and succeed. So like I said, there's a lot to talk about today. I have a lot on my mind. There's a lot of things going on in the world. The world is a crazy place today. I love to talk on this podcast because I look at this as a platform to speak our mind. We all have a voice. We all have a platform to speak freely of our opinions and what's, hot topics, hot buttons, things that we want to get off our chest. So we have a gift to be able to speak freely, not only in life, but on this platform directly. So whether it's the Social Plug Podcast, the Rise and Win Show, the Shoot the Shit Podcast, Kick Rocks Podcast, it doesn't matter. We have guests and we build relationships while we're on camera. Uncut, genuine, raw, authentic conversation. Sometimes we get into some things that are controversial. Sometimes we get into some things that are, unruly. Sometimes people don't like talking about some of the topics that we talk about. But like I said, we have a special gift, and we use our voices. We use our platforms to highlight people. We use our platforms to discuss things that we agree with and we don't agree with as well. So a couple of days ago, a young man named Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, he is an advocate for Christianity. He's an advocate for family, and he's a patriot, America, anything that you can imagine. He spoke his mind, and he spoke freely. And unfortunately, an assassin took his life with a bullet over in Utah recently. So whether you agree with free speech or you don't, whether you agree with some of the topics that he engaged with, he did it with conviction, with purpose, with passion, and he was unafraid. He was relentless in his pursuit of getting his truth out there, whether you agreed with it or not. And unfortunately, somebody who didn't agree with him took his life. So I encourage you to stand tall, stand proud, stand convicted, make sure that you're unafraid, because once we lose our voices and once we shrink down, we become afraid. And once we're afraid, we can't speak freely, and you got to walk on eggshells, and you have to be curling up in the fetal position to just survive. And when you're afraid to survive, are you really living? Are you really able to highlight others? Are you able to promote others? Because you might be promoting the wrong person to somebody else's eyes. And that is a kind of a shitty way to live. So we do these shows with courage, with compassion, and we highlight our guests. No matter how you feel about them, it's our obligation, our moral obligation, to speak freely. So rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Your beautiful family is going to be missing you, and a lot of people in America are going to be missing you. So thank you for what you did. Thanks for standing tall. Thanks for standing proud. Charlie Kirk, we'll miss you. What's going on, J-Rock?
What's up, Johnny? Doing all right, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Man, ready to get after it today, as always. And, yeah, man, just sad stuff that's been going on. And definitely don't want to get in the mix of it all. But, yeah, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. And feel bad for his family, man, at the end of the day. And it sucks that, we can be divided sometimes. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, we got to figure out how to stay on top and make America great again, man.
Yep.
So,
J-Rock, I don't always agree with you. But,
no, we don't always agree.
No, we shouldn't always agree.
I don't know.
Because if we always agree, what happens? You become irrelevant, I become irrelevant, and then we kind of cancel each other out.
Right.
Right? So if I agree with you on everything, what are you here for? I can just do the show myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or I can just, I don't need you. So we need a little bit of discussion and open dialogue where we don't agree, because it opens up our mind for expansion and new ideas. Because I'm not always right about everything. Hell, I'm wrong half the damn time at J-Rock.
And I think also like being, when I was younger, I always thought I was right, thinking I knew it all right. And I think sometimes that's what kind of gets in the mix of everybody. But, be open-minded to other facts, man. Be open-minded to other opinions. I shouldn't say, more of other opinions, I should say. Yeah. But it's just scary that now this is where we're at. It shouldn't be that way. So let's keep fighting and don't be scared to keep speaking our mind in a, in the right way, in a debatable way. You know what I mean? So just crazy all the way around, bro. Yeah. It's very sad. Very sad.
And one thing that open dialogue has helped me with is building relationships.
There you go.
And being able to have discussions with new partners and guests on the podcast and things like that have opened up my mind, and I've been able to gain new perspectives and new ideas. Hell, half the people I have on our show sometimes I don't agree with, but it's just dialogue. We have to be able to highlight their ideas, and it's just the way it is. And it's not only on the show, but in life. Just talk to people, and sometimes you don't agree with them, but you have to. You're getting in the reps where if you don't agree with somebody, don't just cut them off and tell them to screw off. And sometimes you're going to ask them questions that are going to be a little bit of a deep dive into their mind and be like, maybe you're thinking this way because of this. And it doesn't always mean you're going to get in an argument, because nobody wants to be in an argument all day and pissed off and always heated. You don't want always to be in a debate, but you just want open dialogue sometimes. And I've become friends with a lot of people that I don't agree with because I love their passion for what they bring to the table. And it's taken a lot of reps and a lot of experience for me to do that. Absolutely. Because there's some people I just will never agree with, but I love their passion and their ability to communicate, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I love the guests you bring on, and the thing that I love about your show is as well is I get a place of a community where we're learning, and people are coming in to educate us on what it is that they're doing and how they're helping others around. I love that, man. We're my podcast. We're just there to mess around. Yeah. You know what I mean? But here, I've learned a lot, man. So I'm excited about today's episode.
Cool. Well, J-Rock, we're here to educate, motivate, inspire, entertain.
Entertain.
You love entertaining. You've been in the entertainment world for a while, and hey, I love your podcast. People need to laugh. People need to joke around a little bit. That's part of what makes us human. The humor and the laughter makes us feel good.
That's right.
And the intriguing conversations that I do sometimes make you feel good too, because you're like, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
I'm learning something. So everything that we do is to ensure that we're providing value to our guests. And when I say value, just meeting people through our show, because it's social media and these podcasts bring people together where you feel like you know them a little bit.
Yeah.
And where you're like, that guy's pretty cool. I like him. I feel like I know him. I want to do business with that guy. I want to look up his website, or I want to help his nonprofit organization, or I want to contribute to his cause and things like that. We've met a young man recently. He's also a vet, and we're gonna do a podcast over at his art show in a couple of weeks, and that's just building relationships. So we're able to do that, J-Rock, and our freedom and our gift that we have of just speaking has lifted us into places that we didn't even know we can get into. So, J-Rock, you have a gift, man. Keep using it. Don't be afraid.
You as well, bro. You as well, man.
So I spoke a little bit about relationships and the intriguing part of the podcast are just knowing our guests and getting our audience to get to know them a little bit. So I've had the pleasure and honor of knowing this young man. He's our guest today. For a few years, some of you know I was in the Air Force, and I was an Air Force recruiter for 16 years. I got to travel a little bit, and I got to engage with the community and learn a lot of things about myself and learn things about people when getting them into the military and changing their lives and their perspectives, because sometimes people had no idea what the military had to offer. And it wasn't only changing their perspective in their life, but it was changing their family's life and changing their family trajectory as far as the family success and legacy and things like that. Because Sometimes people join for different reasons. Sometimes they join to get out of a bad home life. Sometimes they join to get money. Sometimes they join to gain a skill. Sometimes they join to serve the country. And when they serve, the meaning of service and loyalty and respect and valor and all that has a whole new meaning to them. So I was able to change perspectives in it, and I took that very seriously, and I was very passionate about it, as I am still today. So I love me some Air Force recruiters, and this young man, he's our special guest. His name is Sean Triglia. He was an Air Force recruiter. He still serves today in the Air National Guard, and he's a very influential person. He is the co-founder of Wingman for Life, who is our sponsor today. So he makes an impact in the community and beyond. Him and a young man named Jason Prococcino, very influential as well. He's also a former Air Force recruiter, retired now. So I've exchanged a lot of ideas and a lot of concepts with these men, and I like communicating and engaging with people like them because their value shows in their service and acts of service. And they not only run this Wingman for Life organization, but they give back to the community in many ways. And I can go on and on and on about it, but I kind of don't want to steal his thunder. So he's sitting right in front of me, and he's a pretty badass dude. So without further ado, my friend Sean Triglia.
Johnny, thanks for having me.
Hey, man, it was my pleasure, man.
You've been phenomenal for many years to Wingman for Life. Knowing you, active duty side, I looked up to you as a person that was passionate, involved as an entrepreneur, consistently in the space, and honestly, you always had a great energy about you. Even from the first time I ever met you, you've been a phenomenal person. So it's my pleasure to be here. Great opportunity to speak today about Wingman for Life. As I mentioned, being that I'm a current service member, there's certain things that I will not speak on regarding the Charlie Kirk incident, but God bless his family. As a father, it hurts to think that, because you're out living your life, convicted in your values, that somebody could take away the opportunity, to be there for your family.
Yep, so. Absolutely. It's crushing, but we got to move on, and I'm sure Charlie Kirk would have wanted us to move on and say, let's just keep going. Just don't stop. So, thank you for being on the show. It's been a long time coming. I know we had you as a sponsor on about 30 episodes ago. And you guys have been very instrumental, not only to our podcast, but to my life and to the lives of others, man. Your organization does a lot. So I just want to get to know, or not, I know a little bit about you, but I want the audience to know a little bit about you. On a surface level, we don't have to get deep in the weeds on your service currently, but just on the surface level, where you're from and who you root for as far as baseball or sports or whatever. We can get into that a little bit.
Sure.
And what makes you tick, Sean?
Hey, so actually, I'm originally from Philadelphia area.
Okay.
Joined in 2006. Left for the Air Force back in February of 2006, and originally started as a radio guy, and totally grew up without a computer, and they said, hey, you're going to be great with electronics. So that's where I ended up.
When you say radio, you weren't speaking on the radio, you were fixing radios.
I was. It was ground radio communications, eventually became another career field, integrated some more satellite work.
Okay.
But ultimately my passions were in business and sales. I wanted to do something that would put me in that space to prepare me for an eventual transition. I didn't know if I was going to continue to 20. I didn't know if I was going to get out, but I knew that I needed business skills, and recruiting was the number one opportunity for me to get that. And so, I volunteered to become a recruiter at that time, and was fortunate enough to get in. Went to Bronx, New York as my first assignment. I thought it was fantastic, being from the East Coast. The land of the break, it's where breakdancing started. I was a big breakdancer as a kid, so loved it, and loved the mission. We talk about being able to impact other people's lives in a positive way. Becoming a recruiter is about being able to pass the buck. I was able to take on all of these amazing benefits and change the trajectory of not only my life, but my legacy. And I'm like, how do I give that back? You know? And so when you're in a place like the Bronx where people have nothing, and you can give them an on-ramp to, you know, it's basically a red carpet to at least middle class.
Right.
And I don't know of any other real opportunities that exist that take somebody with essentially, you know, just a high school diploma and potentially no idea with what they want to do with their lives, and hand them the keys to the vehicle that's going to take them everywhere, you know? So I get, you know, it's funny. I don't think about this stuff too often on a daily basis. So like, you know, I'm feeling emotional as I'm talking about it because when I look back on my career, you know, those moments are probably some of the most.
They're significant moments, man.
I can't foresee many moments in my future where I'm going to be able to give so much, you know. So, you know, the Air Force really just provided a tremendous opportunity for me to do that.
Right. The Air Force helped you, Sean, and you helped the Air Force as well. And you helped these families, like you said. And now let's think about this, Sean. And I mean, the Bronx, are there a lot of opportunities? There might be, maybe. But a lot of these kids, the youth today, don't have a lot of opportunities. And this is across America.
Yeah.
They don't know unless they get out and connect or network with somebody. Now, everybody knows about the Air Force. They know about the military. But today, people are scared shitless to join the military. Not as much as it used to be, but it's the fear of the unknown. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these people, especially in the Bronx and on the East Coast, because I recruited on the East Coast, they don't trust the government. They don't trust recruiters. They don't trust what the military has to offer. If they knew what it has to offer, there'd be a line all the way down to Manhattan from the Bronx.
I know.
But it's one of those things. You had the core responsibility to change these people's lives with your impact and your influence and with your ability to speak and to connect and to get into the schools and to build a network of trust, faith, and confidence with these young people. And that's a tough thing to do. So it's easy to recruit somebody who's willing to join. Right? But to try to recruit somebody who has no idea about the military and who doesn't trust the government, that's a whole nother special skill set that you need to have. So I can probably attest and speak on your behalf. It was tough in the Bronx to recruit.
Well, you know, for many reasons, right? And so it's not because I think some people will make the assumption it's because the quality doesn't exist or there's just too many social issues there. People in the Bronx are wonderful.
Right.
However, not everybody is.
Right.
And people are skeptic. They are apprehensive. And ultimately, I don't look like them, right? Demographics in the Bronx, when I was there, when I looked into it, it was 5% were white. If you were white in the Bronx, you were a cop. And I'm walking around in a blue uniform. They assume I'm a cop, you know? So you really had to break down that barrier to communication by just being a human being first with them. So I think, you know, ultimately where the Air Force comes in is, you know, when we talk about whether there was opportunity there or not, there could be all the opportunity in the world. But if you don't know how to capitalize on it, if you're not postured to take advantage of it, it doesn't do you any good. There's people right now that are probably in their 60s that had thousands of amazing opportunities come by them, but unfortunately, they weren't positioned, they weren't postured, they didn't know how to take advantage of it. The Air Force makes that happen, right? Through basic training, through technical training. You're able to take somebody that didn't have all of these skills, may or may not have it. A parent could potentially not have any parents. that groomed them to become an effective, responsible, and future success in life. And so we are that platform in the Air Force, in the Air National Guard, in the Air Force Reserve. I will, always stand by that. It's undeniable.
Right.
Anybody right now that I'm serving with, that made it this far into recruiting, I don't know anybody that is worse off for sure from the day that I met them. Everybody's doing really well.
Yeah. Sean has given me a great skill set, the ability to speak and have confidence when I speak, and it's just a skill set I learned while serving in the military. I didn't have this skill set before I joined. I would have never had this skill set if I would have just stayed doing the same thing that I was doing before. So it's something that I don't take lightly. It's something that I'm obligated to fulfill now whenever I speak to people. I try to inspire, influence, and engage with them in a way to show that there are resources and there are outlets out there to be able to assist. Because I firmly believe everybody has opportunities. You just got to find them. And you need a beacon like yourself or somebody. You don't have to join the military. Just talk to somebody with a good positive attitude or somebody who's willing to help you, and you're going to go a far, long, prosperous, successful way, man. And follow the Yellow Brick Road, just like the Wizard of Oz. So thank you, man. Thank you for being a part of Air Force Recruiting Service and a part of my team whenever we did serve. So that's just a snippet of your life. Who do you root for as far as sport? You're Philly?
Yeah, I grew up as a Phillies fan, a Flyers fan, a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Boo.
Yeah. That tussle between the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Boo. What's another boo?
Growing up. Yeah. As a kid, I mean, it was always something. And even now, when I run into people around my age group, it's still like, oh yeah, Cowboys versus Eagles. Like it was a thing. It was such a big thing back then. But yeah, when I get time, I'll catch some games. But
are Philly fans the meanest? I mean,
the Eagles. Yeah, I was actually just telling
they booed Santa Claus, man.
I was telling a major the other day actually that. I said, sometimes I'm hesitant to tell people that I'm an Eagles fan because I don't want them to assume that I'm some aggressive, like, maniac
asshole kind
of person. 100%. So I'll claim the Giants because they treated me well while I was in New York City. Oh, yeah. We had some awesome times. Proc and I, we had fantastic times in New York doing New York City Joint Service Color Guard. So, like, every major sports team out there, him and I were on the field holding American flags or whatever they had us hold that day. For the Rangers, for the Giants, the Jets. I mean, there's so many teams out there, and the Yankees, Mets. I mean, God, there was so many amazing opportunities.
Dude, that whole East Coast
in New York City,
is full of sports and events and all that. I had the privilege of serving in New Jersey, and we got to go to Philadelphia Phillies games and the New Jersey Devils, and I didn't go to a Giants game, but I passed by East Rutherford, the big stadium and things like that. I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it was full of sports and just things to do. It's crazy how different it is from Texas. That's a little bit more spread out.
Yeah, you're right. There's still a lot to do here, but you're driving everywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, it's insane what you could do in a square mile in New York City.
If I drive to Austin from here, I've already driven through 4 states up on the East Coast, right? So, I mean, I was stationed in the center of New Jersey, so I was 45 minutes from Philly, about an hour and a half from New York City, about 45 minutes to Atlantic City, about 30 minutes to the Jersey Shore, GTL, the cabs are here.
That's right.
You remember Jersey Shore, J-Rock? That was back in the day.
Yeah. That's what man.
I used to get they used to call me, what was it?
Ronnie?
Ronnie? Yeah, because of the haircut.
Yeah.
Because I stick my
hair.
You
had the blowout?
Yeah.
Ronnie or who's the DJ?
DJ Pauly.
DJ Pauly D.
Pauly D.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. He's still DJing today.
Yeah, he's still doing his thing.
He's still prospering.
Him and the Sitch. The situation.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's, I grew up right there, like Philadelphia, New Jersey border, right? So I was in Seaside Heights multiple times this summer. It was pretty much every other weekend. And so I was already in the Air Force by the time that show came out, and I was like, this is hilarious, to see like the shenanigans on mass scale was the funniest thing.
People were saying those dudes weren't from Jersey; they were from Staten Island, right?
They were kind of all over the place.
Or
they
Long
weren't,
Island.
like they weren't. And then there was the whole piece where like only like some of them were actually of Italian heritage or like very small Italian heritage. Like I think Snooki's like Peruvian or I don't know, something like that. I'm probably wrong,
but she says she's a meatball, right? She says she's Italian.
Yeah. So that show brought a lot of laughs for me and some close friends in my early years in the Air Force. I can remember like yelling on the phone between close friends. Like I had a buddy from tech school that went to the UK, and we'd be on the phone like screaming lines from the show at each other, just laughing,
Just
and
one shot.
I'm in Hawaii, he's in UK, and we're talking about Jersey Shore. You know what I mean?
Just one shot, kid. Just one shot. That's when Ronnie punched that one dude. Yeah.
Do you remember? You remember when Sitch is going around cleaning the house, and he's calling one of them a dirty little hamster. He's like, "You dirty little hamster," and I was like, because he was finding things like in clusters of trash in random corners and stuff. I lost it. That's like still funny to me this day. So.
Dude, I'll never forget the situation on the roast. That was the worst roast of all time.
Oh, I didn't catch it.
Do you remember that, J-Rock?
I don't think I caught that one.
Oh, so after the show, I'll show you.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So the situation is the worst roaster. I don't think you'll ever be allowed on a roast show again. Yeah, man.
Was he having a hard time putting the sentence together? Or?
Well, that and it just wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny. Was it just mean?
No, he was just
saying words.
Yeah, it was just stupid.
They're like, you're
Jeff Ross, the roast king, roast master.
Yeah,
he had his way. He mopped the floor with the situation.
I bet he did, man.
Yeah. So pretty much the situation was like, I'll never do this again. This isn't for me. So
yeah, it definitely is a skill between preparation and delivery. So
yeah, man. So you had a lot going on the East Coast, joined the Air Force, and now you decided to team up with Jason Prococcino and form this awesome organization called Wingman for Life, man. So how did all that get started?
Yeah, so man, so in 2015, I bought the domain for airmanforlife.com and .org. And
how much did that cost you?
Just a couple bucks,
okay.
But I was just looking out at the future. I saw that Soldiers for Life existed and some other stuff was going on. And I said, at some point this is going to exist. So whether I'm going to flip this over to somebody else in the future or I'm going to run with it myself to stand up an alumni organization of sorts for the Air Force, I want this domain. And so I held it for about a year, and then Proc and I actually started. Now, we had known each other prior, but we were in different missions. We were both enlisted, but we were in different areas. Okay. And so anyway, he now, in 2016 is over in health professions recruiting in Lower Manhattan, and then I get there. And, conversations lead on to conversations at some point, and I decided I'm not going to press with the Airman for Life piece. And we're talking about all these social issues, mental health stuff that was going on in the Air Force at the time. Like, all the stats were coming out about
22 suicides and things like that, right?
So all that's, and we're just spitballing, about, what can be done. We want to, and at minimum, what can we do for our own organization of recruiters? We're all at GSUs. This mission's very stressful. People are making a lot of sacrifices to make it happen. And luckily, we didn't have a lot of those issues in recruiting. I think somehow recruiting always does well to take care of people. Mm-hmm. And they're aware that these are potential issues. But it was like, hey, it could be only a matter of time if we're not taking a proactive stance on this. So initially, the concept for Wingman for Life, we're talking about, different names to use, and we're like, ultimately, what is the function? What can we provide? And at that time it was, well, we can be there, and look, that's not a new concept, right? But ultimately, what can we deliver on as non-healthcare providers to our community? And at the time, it was decided that that's what we can provide. You know, let's have we had a phone number up. If somebody needed help, they want to call somebody that they thought would understand them, you know, within recruiting. They could dial up that number. They could send us a message on Facebook.
So who would answer the phone? Was it
Went
you?
straight to my number.
Okay.
Went straight to my number. You know, obviously if I couldn't handle it at the moment, I could have Proc answer the phone, you know.
So that was a lot to take on because you probably had a lot of people reaching out.
So,
And this could be at all hours.
yeah. And so which leads me to the next point, right? And why there was a pivot in focus. Well, because one, we're not healthcare providers. Two, we don't want to fall short on something that's so important. I would not be able to live with myself if somebody tried to reach out to me and no one answered, right? So luckily that never happened, but I was like, you know, we're gonna pivot away from this. We're not healthcare providers. We don't want that liability either. And so like, there's other solutions. You know, that is prevention. Let's get out in front of prevention, pre-prevention. And so I had read many different, well, I caught a documentary years ago, but then I had also read many different articles as I was looking into how we're going to help with this problem. And the number one thing that continues to come up is connectedness, right? They've seen social connectedness resolve issues with drug abuse, right? So you have somebody that's on heroin or fentanyl or whatever. They, in other countries, have the studies that show if you can properly reintegrate them into society, put them in a space that's meaningful, have people that believe in them, they'll never return to it. Obviously, there's percentages, right? It's not going to be a fix for everybody, but there's a good chance that if you can get them reintegrated into society, they'll be successful. It's the same thing. Like most people that are struggling, well, you know, I would be careful not make major generalizations here, but people are struggling, whether it's situational or, you know, a chemical issue, right, in their brain. Ultimately, if they're integrated with people that are keeping an eye on them, keeping them accountable to themselves, and that maintain a constant open door towards being helpful to them, well, they're going to be a lot less likely to think that that is the only solution that they have in life. And so, you know, at our core function, it's how do we prevent isolation of service members, right? And that was very personalized recruiters because we're at offices all over the place, generally not near a base, and we don't have the same sense of community. We don't have the same resources. The stressors that we have as in the recruiting commands and, you know, Air National Guard is with the wings, is that you don't always have all those resources. And so you're having to solve a lot more problems that are generally not problems when you're active duty on a base, or just lesser of a problem. So we know that there's a potential for that to build up with people and drag them down, right? And so we wanted to, again, you know, Proc and I are big on like visions of grandeur, right? Like we have all these huge ideas for Wingman for Life. We want to accomplish so many things. But after, you know, the dust settles, we go, but where are we? What can we do? What are our resources? What is realistic, right? Like let's have the emotional outpour of ideas, but let's ground them after the dust settles and figure out what can we action on. And so we go through this process all the time. And so what can we do when we're a two-man team and he's in Tennessee and I'm in Pennsylvania or I'm in California, as I was for a couple of years? And it is, well, we can make these in-person engagements, have the main focus be the social engagement piece. We need to get people out of their these routines that they're locked into that sometimes can be detrimental if they're not ensuring that they're taking time to go out and build network and to create opportunities by sharing their passions with people that might be able to provide them a way to achieve those passions, right? Work within those areas that they're passionate about. And so we have been able to capitalize on that. We have 2 regular events that happen in New Jersey, which are actually our major fundraisers each year. we've had golf tournaments in Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. Had a similar golf tournament in Pennsylvania. We've taken veterans out sailing on sailboats with another partner in California. We are making a lot of progress, in these spaces, and it's because we have other people that are highly passionate about helping veterans, and it's like it's unbelievable, Like I pause because it's like, we had no idea we were going to get here. In 2016, we were just like spitballing this idea. Right. We're getting kind of thrown into different stuff. You got production breathing down your back all the time, right? You got expectations to meet. And you're like trying to put this thing together that you're passionate about on the side, and you're trying to find time for it, And so it's like you start building, and then you lose some momentum. You start building, and then you lose some momentum. But then one day, you get this massive windfall, and because we were set up ahead of time, we were able to take advantage of it, And it goes back to the callback to posturing, right? Like we started building a brand. We had the shell of the organization formalized. So when a resource popped up, we were able to immediately take it into our organization, and it has become the bedrock of our existence. And that is the Veteran 54, disco night essentially that we have in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, is our bedrock, and that is ran by Proc's mother, Denise Greeley. Without her, Wingman for Life doesn't exist. She is everything to this organization. Because she's passionate, she's Proc's mom, so she's got a veteran to take care of. And so she's awesome. And if you ever meet her, you'll see, why Proc is the way he is. They are two peas in a pod. It's great to see them together. So, but, I digress. We're...
So, Sean, you gave a lot of information there, man, and I can go 100 different routes
it's all good.
With this. So how many people are on your staff right now, on your organization's council?
So it's been 3. It's been myself, Proc, and his wife, Yuli.
And Miss Greeley.
And so Miss Greeley, she's not on the board, but she is in the organization.
She's a part of it.
She is, she's our bedrock. So
because you can't just do it with two people.
No,
you got to have
a really important thing
big
to note.
staff of a lot of smart, passionate people that share your same passion. Because if you don't have the passion for veterans, you're not going to be able to be successful, and you're not going to help anybody. It's going to be counterproductive.
Yeah.
So I love you mentioned something there that piqued my interest. I mean, the whole thing piqued my interest, but especially this point where you're like, I don't know how we were doing it. You were doing it because you gave a shit. You were doing it because you care about the veterans. You care about people's livelihoods and their mental health. So when I was first growing up, nobody really cared about mental health. They were like, just suck it up. But today, it's evident because we're all under stress in some way, shape, or form while you're serving in the military and even after, right? I mean, hell, I was one of those macho guys. Oh, I'm good. I don't need nothing. No, I wasn't good. And sometimes you mentioned production, breathing down your back. We had to produce numbers. We had to put people in the Air Force constantly. And if you didn't produce numbers, then you're going to get looked at as a failure. That's just the way it was. And that's why I'm adamant today about producing. You have to produce. And it's not only producing numbers, you have to produce for your family. You got to produce for people that are entrusted with hiring you and getting the job done. And you do that for Wingman for Life. And I know you're doing it because you're not only passionate, but you mentioned these golf tournaments, these fishing trips, and all these things. And I can tell you without you even telling me, you're building relationships along the way with other nonprofit organizations because you can't do it for alone. Wingman for Life cannot do this alone. You need the help and assistance of other nonprofits. So there are hundreds upon hundreds of nonprofits out there, and I know you guys have your thing where you're trying to build confidence in others to be more social. Because when you're more social, Sean, you're more confident and you're more able to think clearly and gain ideas and experiences. Because when you're isolated, you feel like you're shrunk and you feel like you don't have the assistance and the help from not only your family, but from others. And so when people get out of the military sometimes, They're so used to being in charge of something and being this profound figure that once they get out, they feel like they're minuscule now and that they have no purpose. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
And that's when people really get sick and people start getting a little antsy in their mindset and what's next, and I don't know if I can do this, and I don't know if I can function in the civilian workforce, and it gets a little weird. And then you start having these thoughts of nobody is there to support me, and then you have the suicidal thing, and it just snowballs.
It just tunnels down.
And in the military, sometimes you can't speak to your supervisor. Sometimes you don't want to speak to your commander or your first sergeant.
Reporters,
right? So you want a third party.
Be completely honest,
right,
with people.
Yeah. So you want a third party, and that's where you come in, where you're able to talk to these people. And so, have you had any recent encounters where you've saved someone's life or referred them out to a resource that's helped them?
So we're not, because we're not really functioning in that space. So ultimately, I don't think people are. Let's say we're not branded for that.
Okay. So you pivoted a little bit from that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what you were talking about earlier.
A while back, yes.
Okay.
Because that's the fear, right? Is that, sure, on an individual level, anybody can come to me, and I'm not leaving their side if they come to me, right? But if I'm not available and they're reaching out to my organization, and I'm the only person, or Proc's the only person, we're already failing that mission, and that's not where we want to exist. We don't want to fail people that need us the most or when they need us the most. So if however, anybody ever felt comfortable and or wanted to just reach out to one of us, sure, I'm not gonna tell them don't call me. We'll keep them on the phone and we'll find an organization that can. I mean, obviously we all talk about Military One Source, but there's tons of organizations out there that can reach out and help take people. Basically, so a lot of that process, by the way, is like waiting for people to come off of this like panic attack or whatever all these emotions are that have them at this level. It's being able to stay with the person long enough to make sure that it doesn't progress past just the overwhelming emotions. And so eventually they can talk them down and then get them to focus on like what's going to be next, task by task, resource by resource. And then there's follow-up, what has transpired since 4 hours ago, what has transpired, within the last 24 hours. Are you feeling more confident about your future? Do you see that there are tools available for you to do the things you thought you couldn't, that made you arrive at this point in your life right now? So, but that's not, like I said, that's not our space, at least not right now. I think.
But it's building community
way
right
down the
now.
road, yeah.
You're building community. You're helping veterans with business. Are you helping them build businesses or?
Yes. So, what we'll handle is business development. So if you have a veteran that says, look, I really don't want to work for other people. I've retired. I'm set. Otherwise, I have the freedom to take additional risk, right? So if you get out and you want to become a real estate agent, well, it's okay, technically, if you don't get paid for a couple months or even 6 months, because you have a pension coming in. And if you get the VA rate, the golden goose there, then you're even better. So they have time to build. They have time to be in that, like, hey, I'm that groove where they feel like they're not successful because they're not seeing an immediate return on their investment of time and effort. But that is the most important time towards building something. We as recruiters know that when you get into a new zone, especially if it was vacant before you got there, your first year is the most important for you to hit the ground and start developing your brand as existing in the space to encourage business to happen, right?
So what not to cut you off,
Sure,
but what he means, J-Rock, and for those of you listening, when he talked about recruiting and if something's vacant, sometimes there's offices that don't have a recruiter in it. So if there's no recruiter in it, someone else has to take on that office. And if there's not a recruiter in that office, people aren't coming through that door. So it takes another person to take on that responsibility, and sometimes that happens. Because if you notice, there's 100 Army recruiters everywhere. There's 100
It's like 8 to 10
Navy
per office.
and Marine recruiters,
Yeah.
but you hardly ever see any Air Force recruiters. And I get those complaints all the time. A recruiter hasn't come to the school. Well, there's limited amounts of recruiters because they have different missions. Sometimes the Air Force, and I'm making up numbers, has to put in 33,000 people a year. The Army has to put in 100,000 a year. So if you have 100,000, you need more recruiters. The Marine Corps has to put in 40, so they have more recruiters in the Air Force, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what you mean. I just wanted to break it down.
No, absolutely. And so the whole point is, when you step out into an effort, you have to realize that success takes time. You need to build into it. It's going to take beating the drum every single day with, whatever the plan is that you've laid out, and to measure whether or not you're building some type of return of investment. And it's little by little by little. Right. And then one day it all just comes together and you start seeing, like when you're in, recruiting is just a good example because you'll see the difference by the amount of phone calls coming into your office. You see the difference by the amount of people showing up. You may see the difference in the quality of applicant that is coming through your doors now that you have inspired to show up, because now instead of, showing up and leaving literature or something at the library, you are doing a presentation in the AP class to, all the smart kids. So, or the kids that, have the best test scores and grades. And so now they come in and they pass the test, right? So versus having to have a bunch of people coming into your office that, don't meet even the age requirement because they're just like, oh, what's this space over here? I've never seen it. And they're just walking in and they take up, X amount of your time. So it's the same thing when you're building a business, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit. People need to know you exist. You got to market. So what are you going to do? You're going to get outside of your office, and that ties into the job hunt piece and why social engagements are important for us as veterans. And, that's your marketing. You're building brand of who you are as an individual, or your business association if you have a business. And so Wingman for Life, we have. Just between Proc and I mean, we're at like 30 years of recruiting, business skill experience. And we forget how valuable that is to others and that have no business background, that are stepping out of the military with no concept whatsoever of what the timeline is for success. They think that, well, I'm going to name my business, I'm going to get business cards, and I'm going to make deals. I'm going to make money.
You think it's easy?
And it's like, hey, maybe 1% of people, maybe they already had a fantastic network. Maybe they built a certain level of credibility in the world. But you can start from the ground up, just like, they did technically. They just didn't realize it when it was happening, right? It was just the effort that they made in their pocket of society, and they stood out. And so now they're leveraging their personal brand. It's the same thing if you're coming out of nowhere. Like I give an example. If you have somebody that's a maintainer in the Air Force, they go to work every day, they bust their chops, they're working on teams, but like they're in the shadow. They're not out and about like socializing with businesses and going to Chamber of Commerce networking events. They're doing their job and they're tired. And then the little bit of time that they have left is with their kids, their wife or their kids, and hopefully trying to take their leave effectively. And then all of a sudden one day, they're out. Even if they stayed in, they made chief and whatever, and they've acquired all these skills. I've seen it. I actually had a roommate that did 26 years in the Navy, and went right to working for another company. But it was like, there was never really any exploration to do his own thing, and he easily could have. And so we see that, time and again with Wingman for Life as we bump into different people. They're like, how do I get started? How did you guys get here? And we're honest and transparent. Like, we didn't get here overnight. We've been just kind of chipping away at it here and there. We've had some major, windfalls where, because we existed and people knew we existed, we were able to take on some resources that further helped our mission. We have, and then like the relationships piece, trying to get people to understand like how important it is, right? And this is what Wingman for Life does. It's providing that platform for them to build those relationships. I couldn't have taken, 16 members from from 129th Rescue Wing out on sailboats if it wasn't for me being willing to establish a conversation and network with a new nonprofit that I had just arrived in California, and I said, well, I want to do something out here. I'm back near water. I've wanted to go sailing myself for years. There's probably other veterans, it's just being passionate about something and providing something of value and then taking action against it. And, I was able to set up a relationship with Vets Boats. This guy, Terry Moran, fantastic. And we were able to take all these guys out in San Francisco Bay, under the Golden Gate Bridge, like beautiful pictures and stuff. They got to, steer the sailboat. They got to put the sails up. They did some teamwork events on it. Terry's running a fantastic organization. And so, basically what I'm touching on is like Wingman for Life, we're doing a lot of different things because social engagement's broad. And ultimately we need to build network broadly. Things are going to come up out of that effort, which we'll laser further into. But for now, it's growing the brand. The more people that know you exist, the better, because then you have an audience to, if you're for profit, you need people to sell to, things to. So you need to exist. You need to market, right? You need to develop brand awareness. If you're a nonprofit, you need people willing to understand and believe in your mission so that they'll donate, right? So I can't ask for donations for people that don't exist. And just getting people to understand this very baseline theory of business is actually really important.
So what are some ways that you're getting people to believe in your brand?
It's a good question.
Well, one, you're on this podcast today.
Yeah, yeah. So I give you an example. So Proc had a relationship with Chris Forsyth, who is a Purple Heart recipient.
Okay.
And so Proc and Chris got into some conversation, and Chris really wanted to do something to help other Purple Heart recipients. And so the way that Wingman for Life helped out was helped him form his first his nonprofit, Purple Heart Heroes. And then that immediately led into a major golf tournament over in, I believe that was held in Georgia at the time. Huge event. Like did phenomenally well, like had a brand new Silverado on one of the holes. If you got a hole in one, you'd win the truck. Luckily, nobody won. No, I'm just kidding. But no, nobody. Unfortunately, nobody won. Had a longest drive. For a really nice driver on one of the holes. But just a great fun event to get people out. Launched his nonprofit. That guy is. He did some phenomenal stuff. I mean, he was able to get some people to actually parachute into the course with some flags and stuff. It was sweet, and it's just like just being willing to have these conversations, meeting in person, getting to the bottom of things. So these are some of the things that have come out of Wingman for Life. And on that note, probably jumping ahead, but so we're going to bring Chris Forsyth onto the team. Potentially as a VP within Wingman for Life. So he really wants to be a part of the organization, not just like run an event here and there. So we're in conversation about that at this time.
You got to surround yourself with smart people, man, experienced people, incredible people.
Yeah, and the other thing, I mean, outside of him being a Purple Heart recipient, which is awesome, like he's also a first responder, so he can kind of help clue us in on another part of our audience that oftentimes overlaps as a lot of military members get out and become a first responder of some sort, whether it's a firefighter, police officer, et cetera. So way leads on to way. And Wingman for Life is that way for many people. You show up to the event, socialize, let people know what you're passionate about. Let us and or those individuals that are attending help you on your way to your next step. If you're sitting at home all the time, or all you do is repeat the same schedule every single week, and you're not doing anything to build something for yourself, you're setting yourself up for a potential failure in the future. If you lose a job and now you're looking for a network, it's too late, right? And that happens a lot, right? Like somebody's in a job for 15 years, you're like, hey, I'm good, and then all of a sudden they get laid off or whatever, and they're like, what am I going to do now? And it's 2, 3. I've seen veterans try to separate and think, hey, I'm going to do skill bridge and I'm going to have a job immediately thereafter. Well, I've seen that happen, and I've also seen the other where, you have an E8, E9. thinking, hey, I'm a chief. You know, somebody's gonna pick me up right away. And look, just as somebody down the pipe looking at my future, I go, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to think that just because I have this title and credibility and because I'm a service member that people are immediately going to hire me. And then, you know, you go a year without a job post military career.
Sean, I see that way too often where we got homeless vets, jobless vets, because they have this misconception that they either are going to get hired or someone, hey, this guy's Army, let's hire him. Now, unfortunately, and I say this with, I don't even say it with caution, it's the truth. You want to go in a career field, Sean, that is going to be used on the outside, man. And I sway towards the Air Force. Of course, always, nothing against the other branches. I love all branches, and they all have quality, results, production, skill sets, this and that. But I used to tell my kids when they would, you know, what branch should I join? Sergeant Martinez? Like, you know, the Air Force is going to give you the best opportunity to be successful after because you're going to gain a skill set. And the Air Force is more, to me, like an enterprise. It's a business sense. And so I give advice to people, go into something that you're going to be able to use on the outside. Nothing against looking for landmines and working on tanks, but go into something that you can use on the outside. IT, something tech, something with computers, something with, you know, cyber, even law enforcement.
High demand, high paying.
Firefighting, those kind of things. Like I said, bless the hearts of all those other branches and service members. But I even advise them, try to go into something else. Once you're done with that one specific job, try to cross-train and go into something else that you can gain a skill, because it is vital and crucial to your future and to the success of you getting a job or career after your service ends. Because at some point it's going to end, whether it be 4 years, 6 years, 20 years, 30 years, it's going to end. And my advice is also this: while you're in, make sure you're out there networking with civilian sector people. Don't just isolate yourself to military only, because once you're isolated to military only and you're not speaking to people on the outside, you're going to be so handcuffed and limited whenever you do get out. And I learned that about 10 years before I got out of the Air Force. I retired from the Air Force. I made sure that I started a business and I was already speaking the civilian language, understanding that there was life after the military, because I had to make sure I set myself up for success. And there's a lot of people that do not do that, Sean. And it's unfortunate, but those are the people that are needing support sometimes. Because, hey, I'm a chief, I'm an E8, I'm an E7. Someone's going to hire me with no problems. And I've seen a lot of people not get hired for months upon months. And then they are there, you know, biting their nails, trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. I was in the Air Force for 24 years and nobody's hiring me. It's tough. So you got to make sure that you connect with people. And it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And so you need to make sure that you're deliberate and you are excessive when it comes to branding your personal brand. Get out there on social media. Social media is a tool. And if you're not utilizing social media to your advantage to at least let people know who you are, then you're missing the boat. And some people out there, Sean, are like, I'm not getting on social media. That's just drama. And this, no, but you can use it for certain things, like finding yourself a job on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, get a YouTube channel, do these things. And I see a lot of service members that are doing this. Jody with a Y. You know Jody with a Y? Good friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
He's over at the Recruiter Schoolhouse. He's not out yet, but he's setting himself up for success. He's putting in these reps, making sure his name is out there as a resource for recruiting. But he's doing this for recruiting now, but guess what? He's building a skill set where he can do it for any product. So my advice is get out there, get your face out there, start a business if you can while you're in, talk to chambers of commerce, talk to these people, talk to Sean Triglia, Jason Prococcino, Johnny Martinez, talk to these people that have been there, done that, who know how to start a business, know how to connect with people, know how to build relationships with the community, small business owners, CEOs, corporate branding, how to get on podcasts, how to socialize, how to do all these things, and you'll be 100% more successful for it.
Yeah, you touch on a great point. I mean, with social media, you're obviously a very successful person after the service. Like I said before, I've watched you from afar in what you've been doing, and greatly respect what I've seen. Proc and I, neither one of us really liked the camera, and the other piece was we had things in motion, but kind of wanted to work in the shadows a little bit, right? And so we did not step right out front and with social media. And I, looking back, it's like, yes, we could have, and we could have moved faster. But I think it's also important that you tailor what you're doing to make sure it works for you. And for him and I, we were both still in the service, and then he came up on his transition, right? And I'm still serving. And so it's like what we do cannot, sometimes is limited by how much bandwidth we have, which is where the Friends of Wingman for Life come into really, they are our life force, for this organization to continue existing. And so, we've actually had recent talks about our social media presence, our website, and so we're in the middle of kind of revamping everything, and our biggest piece is just celebrating everybody that's a part of Wingman for Life and all the things that they've brought to us and for us in value. Whether it's a donor, whether it's just somebody helping out with the events, I have a list of people that I really want to thank, but additionally want to highlight in perpetuity on the website for everything that they're doing. I mean, there's a high school in New Jersey.
Let's pull up the website
that donates to Wingman for Life every year. Nice. Because of one of the donors that was already part of the V54 event, goes out to the high school and helps encourage students to do a donation drive for Wingman for Life. I mean, it's stuff like we didn't ask for that. They brought that to us,
Because they saw your value, Sean. Yeah. Can you navigate through this website for us here? Is there anything we need to see specifically when somebody goes to the website?
I'm sorry, 1 second. What was this?
This is your wingmanforlife.org.
I'm sorry, your question.
Just to navigate through it, is there anything specifically when somebody should, what they should look for when they're going to the website?
Yeah, so number one, again, a lot of this is going to change over, but our tagline is never blind, and the reason for that is there's some pilot speak, and blind means that they don't have a wingman, and so never blind is meant to be that social greeting of hey, you shake somebody's hand, you say never blind. You see somebody having a hard time, hey, never blind. It's just something to be part of our underlying mantra in the organization that we are making a promise to one another as veteran service members that we're not going through life alone. We're not going to fight any battles by ourselves, and ultimately it's just a matter of connection and commitment to one another to achieve that.
Now, in the Air Force, Sean, I'm going to explain Wingman. So Wingman is taught to you when you were basic training. You don't go to the bathroom without a wingman. You don't go to an appointment without a wingman. You always have a wingman with you. And it's taught to you since the infancy of your service all the way to the end. And even after, which is wingmanforlife.org. So even after, you're not alone. You're not going to be going through life or on your journey by yourself. And you should never go on a journey by yourself. You should have somebody, whether it be your spouse, your children, your teammates, your family, your partner, whatever. And I love that. Never blind. You're not going through this alone. So whatever issues or problems or any kind of struggles you're going through, somebody's going to be there to be your wingman.
And so, just going here on this landing page, it just breaks down some of our main focuses here, which was supporting military veterans with social events. It's a very easy concept to understand, right? And it's at the level of where we are with the organization. Because we're doing this, it's helping us build out our future. As we now, not all of our events are fundraisers, but we have a couple each year, and we're going to build out a couple extra just to increase our ability to get to our end state. So on the events piece, and you can navigate at the top to the event section here, but this would show some of the previous events that we've had. The last one updated on site is this Enduring Freedom Golf Classic, but there's been, I would say, about 6 events since that we need to get pictures up on. So
should we click on that? If you click on it, does it take us somewhere?
Well, so this event here is one that Proc put together. I can't recall what's within the event. Nothing popping up?
Looks like it's loading.
Okay, yeah, sometimes it's slow. Yeah, so what we're trying to do is get some pictures into the site.
To give people a visual.
After the event. Mm-hmm. So we want to have pictures in the event so anybody that attended the event could potentially find other pictures that maybe they didn't have.
Gotcha.
Just as a highlight at minimum of what we're doing. But this is what I'm talking about, though. When I say we're updating the site, some of it's clunky. Some of the pages take too long to load. And so this is another business process you go through mm-hmm. with. I'm not a web developer. I have mm-hmm. some baseline understanding with websites, and I can get around in here. I can play around with HTML. And now, hey, with ChatGPT, Grok, and all these other AI tools, right. I can do a lot more now than I couldn't before. So another reason to do the overhaul is I'm more enabled now. So
cool.
But yeah, so it's very basic.
It has your
right
various
now.
events and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I like that. So you guys are still working on it. I mean, there's mm-hmm. nothing wrong with that. You gotta work somehow. But I love the concept of you adding the photos because that's another layer of excellence as far as showing mm-hmm. the connections, the smiles on people's faces, mm-hmm. the different events, the golf course, things like that. Mm-hmm. It gives people a visual like, oh, these guys are somebody that I want to do mm-hmm. life with. And it's not just doing business with, it's doing life with.
Yeah.
Because this is a life thing and it's people's livelihoods at stake, especially when it's dealing with mental health and mm-hmm. people's crisis and stuff like that. People are going through stuff, man. We're all going through something. And like I stated before, having a wingman that you can depend on and put your arm around, whether they're helping you or you're helping them, mm-hmm. is a crucial part of life and of military service. Whether you're Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, or Space Force, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We're all brotherhood, or sisterhood, whatever you want to call it. But
it's a strong point to make mm-hmm. because as we first started being Air Force, being airmen mm-hmm. at the time, it's like, okay, we're going to take care of our mm-hmm. sphere of influence. But as we set up different events, we're like, well, but we have people here from everywhere. We should be in all
it doesn't
Department
matter.
of Defense type of organization. So welcoming of all, right? I will say that, for anybody else that is looking at a veteran nonprofit, it is tough when you widen your scope, especially if you do it too fast, mm-hmm. right? Because now you might not be able to connect as strongly, right, with your messaging to that larger audience. So you have to be careful in how much you're going to take on. So as a blanket statement, Wingman for Life is for all prior service history and current service history. So, and that's it. You're welcome, period.
Wingman is general.
Exactly. So it's not,
like when you're going out to, have some drinks, hey, J-Rock, you're my wingman. And I won't get into that, but J-Rock's my wingman.
Yeah.
And he takes care of me, I take care of him, and we go and we have a good time.
Yeah, and it's important too because, again, if we're trying to, if we go back to, you have people living, in remote areas where there's mm-hmm. not a lot of maybe people that have the same service history as them, mm-hmm. that shouldn't stop them from getting out and socially engaging and gaining some type of value in their life from Wingman for Life. So, we want to bring all parties together there. The other piece is, right now, VFW is providing the host space for these major fundraisers that we do each year. One of my long-term goals is to really eventually help the American Legion and VFW with their membership replacement because, as we know, these are organizations that have been around for a long time. They're aging membership, And if you go out to VFWs and American Legions, what you'll find is a lot of the individuals that are in those spaces are like the children of prior service members, not actual currently serving members or recently or service member. And
that's unfortunate.
We need them, right? There's nothing bad about that. The problem is what is going to happen to this organization in the long term. And I know that I've been all around the country. I've lived from coast to coast in multiple locations, and every time I go to an American Legion or a VFW, it's the same thing. We need younger members. We need younger members. Well, Wingman for Life is a national virtual organization. It's a network, but we need places to hold events from time to time. And anybody that's ever looked into this, most service members, I think they're aware that they can rent a space at the VFW or the Legion. And so, as we spin up events, we can hold those events at those venues, which gives those organizations a chance to, let the attendees know what the American Legion has to offer, what VFW has to offer. The relationship that we have in Hasbrook Heights with the VFW is phenomenal. The price is fantastic for the host space. The bartenders, they get tipped out. There's not like an hourly pay, and some of them technically would just volunteer to do it, if we needed them to. But we don't put them in that situation.
Let me ask you this, Sean. VFWs and American Legions. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. Mm-hmm. How do they get funded?
I don't know. I want to say they're not 501c3s. I think they're 501
Can we look that up, J-Rock?
C19s. So there's a I think it's called the Military Coalition. There's
because it's always cheap beer. It's cheap to rent.
Yeah,
it's really cheap.
It's a good question. I've never looked into how they get their funding. But there's a long list of veteran service organizations that.
Okay, we just figured it out.
If you're a member in one of them,
you mind if I read that? The American Legion is funded primarily through private donations from individuals, corporations, and foundations, and it does not receive money from the federal government. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
Yeah. So ultimately. So these bigger organizations, if you have membership with them, it basically makes your vote count 36 times. This was explained to me in the past, so I have to re-review this. I am rusty on it, but ultimately, if you're part of one of these organizations and you're participating in that organization and you're speaking on at their meetings things that matter to veterans and service members, your voice is being heard and amplified. Through the lobbying effort, with Congress. So it is very important that we maintain these. I think people forget that the American Legion is behind our Montgomery GI Bill Personnel 11.
Yep.
And
a lot of these veteran organizations and nonprofits and things are able to go speak on behalf of the American military member or veteran.
Exactly. Yeah.
So nonprofits like Wingman for Life are a crucial element of these benefits and these programs and things that are happening are ongoing for military members. And so, Sean, you and your organization are not only stellar for thinking of this and doing it, but you're stellar for taking your time to do this. You don't have to do this stuff. You're a serving member. You can just be like, I'm cool. I'm gonna punch in and punch out, and I'm here. I'm here in San Antonio area temporarily, and I'm just going to go have some margaritas on the Riverwalk. But you care, and it shows you care because you're speaking with passion and conviction and all these things, and I love that. You're taking time on behalf of your organization to not only inspire, motivate, and engage with others, but you're levying educational benefits as well. You're showing them, hey, there's organizations and there's resources that are here for you to help you with your small business, to help you connect with resources outside of the military spectrum. So I love that, man. And here's all your couple of your logos here.
Yeah. So I actually have no affiliation or real understanding of what the Wingman Foundation is.
I just kind of Googled your
It's funny
foundation.
that pops up though, because I remember when I was, when we were first looking into this and I was grabbing the domain name and everything, I'm like, well, let me see. There was foundation available because of some of the stuff we were also talking about. And so they do exist. And obviously, Wingman is a old term. We didn't invent that. We are just coordinating against a brand to make an effort to improve our community of veterans.
And that's what you're doing, sir. You are improving it, and it takes people like you, individuals like you and your team, to keep hope alive and keep progress in the forefront. So you mentioned you wanted to give shout outs to some of the individuals and organizations that have partnered with you and have helped you along the way.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to recap on a couple of things that we've touched on, because we feel it's important to get the message out to people that are, to veterans or currently serving members. You don't have to wait. We're a prime example. You do not need to wait to start building things for yourself and your future until you get out. You need to start as soon as you have the passion, as soon as you know what your passion is, and that's what I really encourage, because you're more likely to stick with it. Start building something against that passion. And so the other piece is, again, we mentioned earlier, that success takes time. Don't put the pressure on yourself to feel that you need to be successful right out of the gate. Enjoy the process. Learn something new. Learn about yourself. Develop your messaging. Look for other opportunities that are being kind of pulled out of the sand as you're, walking the beaches of what this effort is for yourself. It's going to take time to grow gradually, and one day it's all going to come together when you least expect it, and you're going to get to that next milestone in development of your organization or business. So focus on the quality of the mission, what you're providing to others. Really, really important to keep your word. Follow up with the things that you say you're going to bring to the table for people. This is a people business, and pretty much everything regarding success will boil down to that fact. So the relationships are key. Obviously we're talking earlier about building the foundation. You may need that time to build a foundation. We're not all ready to fly, we're not all ready to build the house immediately. And sometimes we don't know what it takes, and you don't find out until you're in the mix of it. But as far as the people that we want to thank, again, Denise Greeley, who is Jason Prococcino's mother, she is, she's lit. If we want a title on her title is she's our New Jersey State Ambassador, but she's much more than that. So she's our biggest supporter. She's been a lifelong supporter of the veteran community. She used to work heavily with like the Elks Lodge and some other organizations out there in northern New Jersey. And we are blessed that she is part of this effort now. So she's, as I've mentioned earlier, like she's been instrumental in terms of us getting the initial funding that we need, because she had a massive network. People that just love her to death, and it just keeps getting larger in that area as we continue to hold this event every year, twice a year. Huge shout out to DJs that have been DJing our events for free for, I think, like 6 years now. DJ Rick Garcia, Raleigh DeLeon, Jay Perez, right? They've been volunteering their time for years. And we were fortunate enough to be able to put something together for them and present it to them at one of the events about 2 years ago. We really can't thank these people enough, because that really was when we hit our first next level, is being able to have this event regularly. And it doesn't happen without these people that I'm naming. Chris Forsyth, who I mentioned earlier, Purple Heart recipient and founder of Purple Heart Heroes. Like I said, we're gonna bring him into the organization. I think he's gonna help us get some new milestones with Wingman for Life. As of current, I'm going to just digress a little bit, but so because Proc is retired, right? As we're co-founders, right? And so we're like, well, what are you going to do? What am I going to do for the organization, right? And he's out. He's got a little more time to work on certain things, and so his focus really has been to help us get more partnerships. I do that sometimes, but it's like when I can fit it in, and when I have a time to fit in a new event, I build new partners around that event. Proc, he's looking out for longer term partners. I'm looking for shorter term partners that may become long term partners. So our focus is similar, but different execution. I like to constantly develop communication around, are we in line with our vision? Right? Are our activities in line with our vision? And so we regularly have those talks. Because I'm in my current role in the Air National Guard with national partnerships and events management, I travel constantly. So it makes more sense for me to switch over and handle more of the digital. So whether it's social media, website development, or any other tech that we're going to integrate into our team. Like today, we're just talking about some AI tools just to help better track our meetings, our notes on the meetings, ensure that any actionable items that come out of the meetings are immediately highlighted. And then just looking for other innovations, case in point, we want to integrate, we're going to open up a multi-signature crypto wallet. Right now we're in the middle of the crypto bull cycle. There's going to be a lot of people that are looking for ways to donate some of their magic internet money. And we're going to make sure that Wingman for Life is in the right position to be able to accept and manage that appropriately. And I'd imagine we're going to be one of the first nonprofits out there that are doing this for veterans. So I just want to move into some of these partnerships, right? Sea Waves. So Leah Stiles, she's been working closely with Proc. They have some relationship through Florida State University, I believe, and so her organization is helping veterans with eating disorders. Now, I think the majority of male service members don't realize that that's a problem. There's probably a percentage of people that struggle with their weight, and they may have, but I think the majority of us are generally in pretty decent shape, or at least able to get through our PT test, once or twice a year. But, you have females that are in service that are also heavily impacted by the restrictions, for us to maintain weight and fitness. And you really see this, as an outsider, I see the stress around that quite often when, you have somebody that's having children, their body changes, and now they have this pressure that they got to get back to the, appropriate size for their uniforms and everything in a quick manner of time. So I think what she's doing is wonderful, and anything that's going to, protect the mental health and physical health of service members is something to support. Barracks is a new organization that we come in contact by Eric Arnsberger. He takes service members through, I believe he has a special ops background, and he takes service members through like shooting courses and some things like that. So, and Proc could speak way more about that. So we're talking about things that kind of, because we're persisting, things come up and we're able to capitalize on them. John Daly's in Nashville opened a new bar. Well, we now have Wingman Whiskey Wednesdays happening every Wednesday at the John Daly Bar, thanks to Lloyd Engel, who's the operations manager over there. This event allows service members and veterans to show up on Wednesdays, and they get to drink top shelf, liquor for well prices. It's a great social event. They get to try some things maybe they wouldn't normally have. And one of the cool things that happened recently is a vendor dropped off a new bottle of whiskey, and if you had your old fashioned made with it, you didn't pay. So they were able to get feedback from veterans on whether or not an alcohol was going to make it into John Daly's.
Yeah, a lot of drunk veterans there.
Yeah. Well, I will note on that, we have been hesitant to do things that involved alcohol, right? Because, we want to socially engage, but we want to make sure people aren't getting in trouble or
Because
that it's a
vets
negative
love their
impact.
alcohol. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and so it's like outside of generally, right, outside of a fundraiser or like a big dance event or something like that, probably won't do a ton of alcohol-driven events. However, we have our portion of people that like that, and it could start off there and lead to something else. And that's actually how the relationship with Barracks started, is that this member just showed up because he heard about the Wingman Whiskey Wednesdays, and then met Proc and started telling him about his effort, and way leads on to way. And that's kind of what we're getting at when we're saying you got to show up, you got to get out, you got to go to these social engagements because you don't know where it's going to take you.
Well,
It's
Sean,
definitely,
let me tell you this.
Go ahead.
If I'm going to an event, I'd rather go meet at a social club or a bar than in a library.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So keep up that good work meeting at bars there, sir.
Yeah. Let me see. And then, so you got the Nashville Seminole. So Proc is currently located in Nashville. So you can tell he's out there mixing it up and mingling it up and giving us some presence, some major presence now.
As he should.
In Nashville. Yeah. So it's awesome. It's fantastic to see some of the stuff that he's been able to put together for us. There's a athletics organization called Gym Vibes, and so basically they help kids, run faster, jump higher, this type of thing. And then Purple Heart Heroes, which is Chris Forsyth's organization. We want to thank him because not only is he coming into the fold with Wingman for Life, but he trusted us to help him when he had his idea to help Purple Heart veterans, veterans with his organization. So that says a lot. It gives us a chance to kind of flex our muscle and figure out, where can we get better in this process too. We have to continue to practice. We don't know everything, but we're willing to stand there as wingmen and help people get through these processes. And sometimes that is one of the best values you can get. I can tell you that, I've been to SCORE, I've been to SBA, I've spoken to these supposed business consultants that are there. Quite often they're there for a short period of time. They'll raffle off some things about, you need to do this and you need to do that. And you're like, you're speaking gibberish to me right now. I've never done this, and then they'll say, okay, so we're gonna make a goal to go tackle this, and then we'll have a follow-up. But then you try to have a follow-up and it never happens. And then by the time you get a follow-up, that person's not there anymore. That's a horrible experience. And now that's probably many months that you've lost towards whatever you were trying to build. And so, you have an organization like Wingman for Life where you have at minimum, you have two people that are going to get on the phone with you, even go through concept development. You don't even have to have a full idea. Tell us about your passions. One of us might have an idea to help you that you didn't realize existed, but you don't know unless you have conversations with people. So anyway, those are some of the major people we wanted to mention, and organizations that we wanted to mention. There's another one. There's a couple others. So Soldiers Angels is an organization that delivers Christmas gifts to kids of veteran service members. So or currently serving members. They also do what is it called? Deployment, like the deployment care packages.
Right.
I don't know if that's the right thing to call it, but
I would say
it's
so.
a care package for deployers.
Sending care packages.
Care package,
with goodies and foods and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they basically, this organization will provide a list to interested service members or civilians that want to support service members and or their family. And so every year they're able to get things of need out to kids that would otherwise not have anything. And, Proc told me a story about how he was able to take his kids with him to do the shopping on these lists when they were younger. It's because it was like 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the kids see the list and it's like socks. Like these are kids of people currently serving. Mm-hmm. And on their Christmas list is socks and, a jacket, like needs items. not a PS5, not I want the latest, Dragon Ball Z character or something. These are things that people need that you wouldn't think would be on a Christmas list if you're doing half decent in life. And I think, that's a sombering moment that you are reading. I think everybody should take the opportunity to go to Soldiers Angels and look at the opportunities that they have. Be part of that. If you want to really understand where you are in life right now, right? You're responding to requests that are like, the basics of life, and it means the world to somebody else. So, fantastic organization. I'm a big softy, man. I get emotional when I talk about
you're
certain
good.
stuff. So,
We're all softies. We all should be softies.
yeah. It got worse when I had a daughter. So like
Same
big
here.
crybaby
All
now.
those times for being hardcore and being macho. That's for the birds, man.
So on my list, when I got out to California, like I said, I started trying to reach out with some organizations out there, and there are some phenomenal people in California as well. I think most people they hear the politics of California and they forget that there's still tons of bleed red Americans and gun owners conventions and farmers and all these types of people that are very supportive of veteran service members. I got a friend named Greg McClellan that is on like 6 different steel industry boards. He stood up wing shooters, so take veterans out skeet shooting, coyote hunting, because they're invasive, overpopulated there, and some other stuff, duck hunting, right? There's another organization called California Waterfowl Association. They did a major event that I got to be part of and help try to drive traffic to, So on that piece, part of Wingman for Life, again, is getting service members to be aware of and use other veteran service organizations or nonprofits. Quite often, these resources exist, but because of the marketing piece, no one's using them, or not enough people are showing up for them to execute their mission effectively. And that's where we can help, is providing that push to get people out to their events. And that was a big piece that I brought to vetsboats.org with Terry Moran. We were able to throw this big event, had a little after party dinner, and way leads on to way. So Terry's been fantastic. He's got a VP named James who was of great help during that event. Lou Spinaz with Veterans Beer Club. This guy, now Veterans Beer Club is not an official nonprofit, right? It's a Veterans Beer Club. And my understanding is it was started in San Diego, and they've just been kind of spreading out as people in different locations choose to take ownership over the effort of starting a local club. And he started the one or got involved with the one in SAC, just because I don't want to discredit anybody else that might have started it, but I believe he started it. But what he did do is, he built their website out. It's a beautiful site. He's very active. He finds Air Force veterans that are out there making a difference in Sacramento. We have a couple breweries in Sacramento that are owned by Air Force veterans, which was awesome. And so one of those Air Force veterans at his brewery hosts some of the Veterans Beer Club's events, a couple times a year. And they meet every month. So Lou was phenomenal when I got there, because all I'd have to do is have a conversation about something I was interested in regarding Wingman for Life, and I'd have, a text message with somebody's name and their organization that aligns. Like, that's what we need as veterans is people that they hear a need and they're ready to fulfill it. There's no questions asked. It's, this is our network. This is our community, our niche in society as veterans. If we're not looking out for each other, who is? Mm. And so I greatly thank these guys. And there's others. I might be forgetting the name, but for the interest of time, I don't want to meander on here. But there are a lot of people that will quickly come together that are aligned with your values, your interests, and are willing to help purely out of the goodness of their heart if you just show up, And so Wingman for Life is giving people a place to just show up and to experience that part of life. Just just like, you're here today. For anybody listening, you got a message, last night or this morning?
Last night.
And we're here first thing the next morning. There was no questions asked. And it's just, you can't thank anybody enough that's willing to do something like that, unplanned, and, just move their life around to look out and help another veteran. So I really appreciate it.
Because I love helping veterans, Sean, and I'm also a wingman. I'm a wingman for many, many people and many organizations, including for you and Prococcino and J-Rock and my wife and everybody else. So that's what we do, man. And if you're not helping people, then you're hurting people. Because if you're not helping them, you're not giving them an opportunity to have a resource or an outlet and inspiration, motivation, and all that. So, yeah. So I'm thankful to every person that you listed as well, and the myriad of success that you guys have had and are going to continue to have, because it starts with you guys, your idea, and it's branched out to all these other organizations, and you all do it together, man. You're all wingmen. I don't care if, like I said earlier, Army, Marines, Navy, or even if you're not military, you can still be my wingman. All right, and that's the beauty of it all. That's the beauty of life. So how can somebody donate, volunteer, sponsor, or just give a little piece of themselves to Wingman for Life organization?
I mean, number one, come to us, bring your passion. If we can facilitate you to operate in your passions to help Wingman for Life, well, that's going to be a number one concern, because you're more likely to stick with it, more likely to stick with us as an organization if you get to bring your best where you want to bring your best, bring your strengths, right? Two, as far as donating and getting involved, show up to the events. We do not have it. It's going to change a little bit. It's just not in place, and that's why I'm not going to direct it right now. But as of right now, go to our events. If you do want to donate, if there's something you want to specifically donate to as well, just reach out. You can contact either one of us. I'm at trig@wingmanforlife.com. Proc is at proc@wingmanforlife.com. So easy to remember emails. I'm always willing to take a phone call as well, and if I don't answer, I'll call you right back. But yeah, to get involved, check out the website, see upcoming events. Give us a ring if you want to put on an event. Something we didn't touch on today yet is that one of the values that Wingman for Life provides to others is that if you don't have an organization, you don't have anything to operate under, then you can leverage ours. You contact us and you say, hey, I have this event that I would really like to do, but I don't want to do it every year. I just want to do it once. I think it'll drive some funding, some fundraising, and or I want to do a fundraiser for this other organization, but I'm not set up to take in the money and manage that piece of it. You can contact us and we'll help you organize that event. You can leverage our organization's, formality, and it's easy that way, because I mention this because if you've been in the Air Force, if you've been in Air Force recruiting, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, especially the last 5 years, everyone was trying to set up a nonprofit, or they had some type of initiative, or they wanted to do some kind of fundraising, especially when it was still a big part of our annual reporting. And they were like, how do I get really heavily involved in the community? And so now you have these people that are kind of, they're not necessarily thinking in a long-term timeline with the effort. It's just, I need to do something this year to ensure that I'm doing something for community and it's strong on my annual report. And so it's kind of a setup for failure, because you're going through this whole process to spin up an LLC and a 501c3 status just for one event. And no one should have to deal with that. You come to Wingman for Life, you got an effort, and we can help you with it. You can leverage our structure, and we'll help you with the managing the money piece of getting it out to whoever you want the donations to go to. It's a win-win. They get to learn a lot in the process. We continue to help veterans with their efforts. So we're open to a lot of things. The whole point, as you'll see in some of our logos, it says, elevating veterans and energizing results. And that's that piece, you shouldn't have to, if you're not ready yet to start a business, you don't need to, keep doing your thing, keep bringing value to the community. But we are here to be an amazing tool for you to make that happen.
So email you.
Email you definitely for stuff like that. If you got a lot of details, please send us an email so we can get to it. But yeah,
is there a link on your website or link on your Facebook or anything like that?
Yeah, the links are on the website for sure.
Okay. So where can we find you besides wingmanforlife.org and here on our chair today, social media wise?
I'm at Facebook sometimes.
Okay. But Wingman for Life is
Wingman
on.
for Life, yeah.
And if they want to reach you, Sean Triglia,
Yeah.
Triglia.
Yes.
And it's SEAN.
SEAN, yeah. Yeah, so they can, whichever social, so we have socials up there, Wingman for Life official. They can reach out there. One of us will respond.
Instagram?
On Instagram, sorry.
TikTok?
That's Instagram. We're not on TikTok, no. I'll be honest, man, especially in line with my job, it's a lot to do all the social. So we're looking to have somebody manage that for us, because we've just learned all well intentioned. We could have a lot of intention to do certain things, but you need time. And when you start seeing timelines go on and on, you got to ask yourself, well, is it worth it for me do I need to do it myself, or is it worth it to pay somebody else to do it so that we can do it more effectively? And we're at that point where, we've got enough events going on. We have content that we need created and or generated and posted. And we hit these shortfalls, with our social media and the website piece, right? So this is where we're going back to the basics, kind of revamping things, and then we're going to have somebody else manage that piece for us. Good. So that it's consistent.
Good, because you're evolving and you're growing and you need people around you that are going to make you look good.
So many years ago, I was hired at a restaurant, and they take you through these corporate trainings. And one of the funny things that they said that always stuck with me is that when you're the manager, your job is not to be back making the burgers, right? In a worst case scenario, you should know how to make the burgers. But otherwise, your job is to stand in the front of the restaurant and be like a composer. You're orchestrating everything. And so, that lesson kind of spilled over as we're doing things with Wingman for Life. There are certain things that we should be, both, Proc and I both should be setting up to be handled by somebody else if we have the funding to do it. Because then it frees us up to focus on the bigger picture. And you get stuck in the weeds on certain things. It's, you have to when you're starting, obviously, but you can get stuck in the weeds, and then that can take you away from actually executing on the bigger picture.
That's business 101 for everybody watching. You want to know how to do the job, but you got to know how to lead and manage, but you want to build other people around you who are just as effective. And you want to build some people that are better than you sometimes, that can eventually make the whole organization and company look damn good. And give them empower them, give them the autonomy to lead and develop new ideas and listen to people. So business owners or people that aren't business owners, aspiring entrepreneurs, lead but build people around you, and that's how you really truly become a leader, when you can inspire others to lead and develop themselves as an individual and develop others around them. Leaders create more leaders, Sean. That's what it is, and Wingman for Life is doing that. J-Rock, do you have anything? Sean, do you have anything else for me? Did we leave out anything at all?
No. I think we covered quite a bit. I feel like there's probably some name out there that's going to drive me nuts, and I'm going to remember it while I'm waking up tomorrow morning. But yeah, thank you to everybody that's helping make Wingman for Life happen. We just want to make it clear, we are still here. We're still grinding. We have amazing people supporting us. And a lot of what we've been doing has mostly been in the shadows. So we're going to start bringing more things to light. Really want to celebrate, who's coming to the table for us. And we just invite more and more people to keep showing up and being part of this effort as we continue to build out a massive network of veterans across all components, to include anybody that is supportive of veterans, right, that want to be there for us. So, thank you to all the nonprofits that are helping us. Thank you to all the people that are just passionate to come into the table.
Good, man.
It's amazing. It really is.
I got one last question for you. It was your first time on a podcast.
Oh yeah, man.
Right.
My nerves are racked right
All
now.
right. So how was it?
It's
Is it what you had envisioned?
Yeah. I think it is. I think it is. I think it's more than what I envisioned, to be honest.
You gonna start your own podcast?
Not right now. Like I said, I'm not really a fan of the camera.
But let me tell you this: you're not a fan of the camera, but I'm gonna give you some advice. Get ready for it, especially when you get out, Sean. And my advice from one retiree to somebody who's gonna retire. I don't know when you're gonna retire, but you're eventually gonna retire. Mm-hmm. Get used to it. You have an audience. People are going to get influenced by you, inspired by you, motivated by you, especially running a nonprofit organization. Mm-hmm. You have to stand tall and in front of the crowd of your audience. Now, we got several cameras here. I don't even know they exist while I'm talking. I'm so used to it. Yeah. But you can see every one of these 5 cameras, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
And they're staring at you in the face.
I feel like the heat off of each one coming at me while I'm sitting here. There's a couple times where I didn't, but yeah. I kind of,
So
not comfortable yet.
Part of my empowering other vets and other people who aren't even vets, just people here in my scope, is giving them the confidence to be able to tell their story and to talk and highlight themselves. Because highlighting yourself is kind of awkward sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But no one is going to highlight Wingman for life unless you highlight Wingman for life. And that's just the way it is. And nobody's going to highlight you as a veteran or somebody transitioning out unless you do it. So you have to be mindful that the camera is your friend. The camera is going to give you that pathway to success. The camera is your pivot point, and everything you need is within you. Your voice, your platform, like I spoke of earlier, Mr. Charlie Kirk. He had a voice, he had a camera, he had an audience, and he was able to speak his mind and become successful that way. Mm-hmm. Same thing with you and all these veterans that are part of Wingman for Life or that want to develop into an entrepreneur, want to develop into a public figure, whether it be a mayor, the leader of the Chamber of Commerce. It doesn't matter. You got to be mindful that the camera is going to be there on you at all times. It could be a good thing or bad thing. Because sometimes there's always a camera, and if you're doing some bad stuff, that could be bad as well. But I thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you here in Collab Space Studios here in New Braunfels. You could be anywhere that you want today, but we're here collaborating and talking about your brand and your organization. I'm a big fan of your organization, a big fan of Jason Prococcino, Miss Greeley, and everybody else involved with this very, very awesome and successful organization. Mm-hmm. Keep leading the way, Sean, all right? Keep leading the way. Keep doing your thing in the Air National Guard. Keep inspiring lives. Keep making your legacy come to fruition. With that said, you're unplugged from the Social Plug Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.